It's like it's a round cup.
And we're going to get round to watching Vengeance, because that was the intro. I caught you off guard again. Ha ha ha. Are you a gambling man? Because we're in Vegas. For Vengeance 2005. Are you looking forward to this? Because this one I've definitely been wanting to do for a long, long time. It's one of my favourite pay-per-views ever. And it's one of the, if not the best brand split pay-per-view they did. Single brand pay-per-view. And we've got 2 world title matches on this card. It's the middle of the draft lottery, and there's a bunch of interesting things going into this event, including a massive WrestleMania rematch and more. What were your thoughts? What were your expectations going into this one?
I wasn't expecting much. I do love a Hell in a Cell match. Like, for people who don't know, I'm a huge fan of classic Hell in a Cell matches, like the ones where they use the blade, because I think, and it's understandable if you're PG, you don't want to show blood. But I think for the Hell in a Cell match, you should always have blood. I'm not saying Cody should go in there and absolutely blade himself to death. But, like, Hell in a Cell deserves blood. It's the only type of match that they should be like, look, I don't allow you to blade, but for this match, I will.
Yeah.
It's the only thing missing. Like, I don't know if you've seen WrestleMania. Now, I understand Finn Balor's was completely different, but Balor bladed like the hard way. Like, the ladder hit him in the head, he got his blow open, and they stopped the match, which is understandable. But I would have loved to just seen the blood pour down him, like, because that would be a WrestleMania visual. I understand his head was split open. For people who haven't seen that, Balor got his head, the top of his head split open, and with his head. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that one was like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, they're stapling him up. But then you see like pictures of the gash and everything. I think because it was so deep, it was like you had to staple him shut. But he was a trooper, and you know, I would much rather blade than have a ladder thrown full force in my face. I'm just saying. And also this version of the Hell in a Cell is the best version because it's got the way that it's a shorter roof as well. So it's a more, not intimate, you know what I mean. It's more a confined space, and it's got a lot more give to it. But we'll get to that when we get to it. First of all, we'll talk about nostalgia, what was going on around this time. I wasn't into wrestling at this time yet. Still a year until I would get into it. But this was coming off of ECW One Night Stand, which happened like a couple of weeks before, and that was one of the best shows they ever did. So to follow it up with this was impressive. And what were the figures that are out around this time?
I can't curse yet. I forgot to get the figure news. Damn it, sorry.
Oh, no! Well, I can kind of guess what was going on around this time. I know that the Deluxe Aggression line was recently, it was like a fresh one. That was one line that was kind of new to the scene. And I think it was, you know, you had your John Cena, Batista, Triple H, and that. And there were a couple of Ruthless Aggression exclusives, like I want to say there was a Shawn Michaels one based on WrestleMania 21. I mean, I could be completely wrong about that. And also like a Hurricane and Rosie 2-pack, which I kind of talked about before. And TNA were doing the Marvel figures around this time as well, which were, as you know, your favourite line, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm not checking Wrestling Superstore. I had enough of checking.
Yeah, I was going to say, trying to navigate that. But, you know, it's similar to what we talked about last week anyway. We'll have more to talk about, actually, next time, because we'll be doing SmackDown, and we can probably look more around the 2006 era of figures in that one, if you'd like. Yeah.
If people want my quick thoughts on the TNA Marvel line, the first 4 series weren't really that good because they weren't butterfly jointed. But when they started hitting Series 5, Series 6, and sadly Series 7, it was cancelled after Series 7 because Hasbro bought the Marvel license of the company. Even though I still, to this day, believe they should have kept the line going for 2 more series and then ended it, because I think it was cut short. We could have got Curryman, an official Curryman figure, and we never did.
Oh my god, that would have been amazing. I'd buy that.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a Curryman figure coming out, but that's later on. But Series 1, 2, and 3 had double jointed arms, but they had also the old, like, you know, like you grab Jarrett and then you can swing his torso and you can do a clothesline. Styles had this one where you can get He had, what did he have? He had something sticking out of his back, and basically you pull that down and he flies.
Yeah.
Raven had something with his arms. I can't remember what Raven did.
So it's kind of like those Flex Force ones that Mattel did.
Yeah, but better because they were double jointed.
Oh yeah, true.
Like for people like if I'm not saying NLW is dead for anybody wondering, but if NLW WrestleMania is coming out, I will definitely be grabbing the Samoa Joe for Ferg to use, because the Samoa Joe is probably one of the best figures made from that line. Like, it's a big chunky boy, and that chunky boy can actually go. Stuart uses it. W3A, like it's the big fat jaw. Sorry to fat shame him, but it's just I can't.
I know what you mean.
Makes me laugh. It makes me laugh every time I see, because he's so wide.
But then again, it is like the WWE ones they released of him just aren't good at all. Like in the way that they're posable. So
expect a TNA Marvel Samoa Joe showing up at your house at some point.
Oh, exciting! I ain't using it for NLW because NLW is it's not dead. Got kayfabe it.
But if it is dead, rest in peace.
Yeah, too right. Hate it. Anyway, I don't hate this show. This was alright. We start off... Oh, wait, no. Video game?
Oh, yeah, the video game. So, one of the video games was WrestleMania 21. Have you ever played it?
I wasn't into Xbox. Yeah, I wasn't into Xbox. Is that a game that you've played?
I wanted to play it. I remember I had an Xbox 360. Sorry for another side story. And I remember going to CEX. It was definitely CEX. Or Sex, as it's called. And I remember going into Sex, and I was about 9 or 10, and I went upstairs, because upstairs they had all the Xbox games, the original Xbox. I was looking for a wrestling game to play. Then I seen WrestleMania 21. I was like, oh, I can play this game. We brought it home. We put it in the Xbox 360, because the Xbox 360 was backwards compatible. The game was not backwards compatible, so I couldn't play it.
What? Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, for some reason, the wrestling games aren't backwards compatible. Like, I don't know if the PS1 wrestling games are backwards compatible with the PS2.
The PS1 games are, yeah, because I've got some. I had some for my PS2. Yeah, they are.
But I don't know if the PS2 and 3 are backwards compatible with them games as well, because for some reason, wrestling games just aren't backwards compatible.
Yeah, that's weird.
I do understand, but...
backwards compatibility is way easier nowadays anyway, but yeah, like you said, not really played that game. And we can talk about SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 next time.
It's 2005 at the moment.
No, but 2006 will be out in November.
Yeah, so we'll talk about 2006 in the SmackDown review.
Yeah, as for this first SmackDown vs. Raw, this is another game I didn't really play that much. I mean, I had it, but yeah.
It also like that fun fact I mentioned before. This is exciting pro wrestling 6 in Japan. So of course, exciting pro wrestling 2 or 3, but SmackDown just bring it, and then so forth. It's exciting pro wrestling 6 in Japan.
Yeah, sorry if Piggy sounded like an android just then, but it's just cutting out. But yes, it came out as Super Pro Wrestling in Japan. Yeah.
So yeah, for people who want to know this, this game is iconic in its own right because of the soundtrack. Have you ever listened to the soundtrack to this game?
Yes, it's my favourite sound. Well, I would say 2007 is probably my favourite, but you can't really go wrong with any of them. I think SmackDown vs. Raw is probably my second favourite in any wrestling game for a soundtrack, yeah.
Fireflies, could you shine your
light? Not the LCD
I don't know why I did Breaking Benjamin as Blink 182, like Firefly.
But they do quite an emo kind of twinge to it in this one. And what was the other ones on here? And the Bone Cracker.
I want to grab the soundtrack if you don't mind.
Yeah, have a look at it.
And the soundtrack is just like if you don't want to play the game, it's all understandable. But you cannot go wrong with the soundtrack.
Even just put it on the menu and just listen to it. That's what I used to do.
So we have When Worlds Collide by Powerman 5000. I think it's 5000. We have Bring the Noise, Brown Cracker, Superstars, Polyamorous by Breaking Benjamin, of course, and Firefly by Breaking Benjamin, Alone by Zebrahead, Falling Apart by Zebrahead, The Angle by Core, Bottom Line by Swollen Members, Last Night on Earth, music by Spider 1 as Spider, and Adam Jerry Williams as Adam 12. The Way It Is by Michael David Cummings, Riot Time by Michael David Cummings, One of a Kind. Oh no, I think I've actually now I'm going into fucking sorry for cursing. Now I'm going into wrestling songs. But Riot Time is the last song in it, and then it goes into the wrestling section. Swollen
Members is a goat name for a band.
For people who quickly want to know, because I didn't mention the first three, Bring the Noise is by Anthrax, Chuck D, Flavor Words, and music's by Eric Sadler as Eric T. Sadler, and Bone Crackers by Shoker, and Superstars is by Styles of Beyond.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I've seen Zebrahead live, and they played those songs, so that was nice.
Did they play Here She Comes Again? My good minute.
Sadly not. No.
What was the point? You've been
I
wrong.
know. If I should have shouted it and requested it, but they did not play that.
Just throw a baby at them or play the song.
Play the song.
Throwing babies at them.
Gene Snitsky style.
Yeah, but
anyway, what was happening on?
If you want motivation, like to do anything, just listen to the SmackDown vs. Raw soundtrack. It is magnificent.
I think that's what's going to get me through WrestleMania, to be honest. I keep talking as if it's going to come out anytime soon, but...
You're just sat in the room alone, like, with Firefly and Luke, and it's just, Firefly, can you shine your light? And you're like, just crying, or filming Shawn Michaels versus Kenny Omega, just like,
I can't do it!
I can't, I've got nothing left. You're just to your girlfriend, I've got nothing left.
Falling apart! Everything's falling apart! And I'm just on the floor.
And then you just look very sad when you meet me and like all in it. What's wrong, Ferg? I can't complete WrestleMania.
I can't do it. Even if it gets done by September, we'll see. I don't know. But
guys, don't worry. I'll come into his house and I will film the rest of WrestleMania.
We're just gonna put Gronk. We're just gonna put Gronk and Pacitti in the main event.
Yeah, I'll replace Hangman and put Gronk there.
Just with the soundtrack going off in the back. In terms of what was going on in the world of wrestling at the time, are we just going to do what was going on after this show? We could do that after this.
We're doing the Raw before. I didn't get TNA because I didn't want it. But TNA is going strong with Impact. Impact is an hour long on Fox Sports this time. The contract ends in September, I believe, and they sign with Spike TV, and then they go to Spike TV, and then 2 years later, 2 years? No, that's 2007. 3 years later, they go HD and go to 2 hours. Move to 2 hours in 2007, and then I think they go to 2 hours in 2007. I think so. Might be right with that. And then after that, they go to HD in 2008, and then they go downhill in 2009.
Oh yeah, big time. What was going on the Raw before this show then?
The Big Show defeated Gene Snitsky. Kurt Angle defeated Ric Flair. Hulk Hogan, John Cena. Am I on the right one? Yes, I am. I was just making sure because Hulk Hogan's on the 4th of July episode of Raw. Just making sure I'm on the right one. Hulk Hogan, John Cena, and Shawn Michaels defeated Chris Jericho, Christian, and Tyson Tonko. The draft lottery had Rob Van Dam and Big Show. The commentators were Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross, and Jonathan Coachman. That's a lot of J's. And your ring announcer was Lillian Garcia.
I think, actually, you have got the wrong one, because Carlito won the Intercontinental title on the show before. So, you might be thinking...
No, I went to June 27, 2005 at Monday Night Raw for
Yeah, that's the show. That's the day after this pay-per-view.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, we don't have to do that anymore. But yeah, so the show before this would have been... So that was the show after. Right, that's what happened after this pay-per-view. So noticeable absences from a lot of guys in the main event scene. I think that main event match as well was where Shawn turned heel. I mean, I could be wrong.
I think he turned heel on... I have the July 4 results as well, so we'll quickly go over that. If you want.
Yeah, go on. Why not? You got him.
Kane and the Big Show defeated Edge and Gene Snitsky. Viscera defeated the Heartthrobs, Antonio and Romeo by DQ in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Rene Dupree defeated Wacko himself, Val Venus. Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan defeated Carlito and Kurt Angle. So that's the one where Shawn Michaels holds up Hogan's hand. They both do that, what you gonna do, brother? And then Shawn Michaels turns around, bam! Thigh slap, sweet chin music, lays him out, 1, 2, 3.
Love it. I love that segment anyway.
And then the build up to that pay-per-view is the iconic moment where he goes, "Who's your daddy, Montreal?" And they're all booing him.
Got your hopes up just a little bit, didn't I? That was good.
So yeah, that was the 2 weeks after. Sorry, I didn't do the before.
That's fine. Well, on the show before, it was just a bunch of not really a lot happened. I don't think. The only thing I do remember was Carlito was drafted and immediately beat Shelton Benjamin, and I guess that can kind of take us into the show. But before we get into it properly, the reason we're doing the show is because obviously this is the quote unquote Christian Cage arc, so we're doing Christian's career highlights. This was, I believe, the only time, at least up until 2005, I'm sure he competed afterwards, but in his career thus far, I think this was the first time that he competed for the World Championship on a show. And it was for the WWE Championship, and this is when Christian was really getting hot, I think, and he was definitely getting more over the more into 2005. He was becoming kind of a smart favourite, I would say, more so than before, and he was getting some cheers as well, and had an interesting, because he was one of the first people to challenge or confront John Cena when he was drafted to Raw, so that was something they could have explored more, but in the end, spoiler alert, Christian gets drafted 2 weeks after this to SmackDown and doesn't really do anything there, but
and then leave.
Yeah, and then he leaves. But we'll talk about that next week. As we...
Can I just say, could you imagine if they had the roster TNA had in 05? I understand Styles and Joe would have probably been in the Cruiserweight division, but imagine having Abyss in a Hell in a Cell match against Taker. Oh.
They did not pull the trigger on Abyss coming to WWE. I know there were a couple of times that they wanted him to come in.
But would he have been Abyss, or would he have just been Chris Park?
It would have been some sort of variation on the Abyss character, I think. Some sort of monster for The Undertaker. And again, like, how many people from TNA they dropped the ball on. And even people who are on this show that in a year's time are in TNA, like, your Christians, your Kurt Angles.
Your Perk Angles.
Your Perk Angles, yeah, he's getting there. But this...
Oh, can we please... When we're doing TNA, when we get into TNA and Christians are, I understand we can't do a proper review, but can we at least do a bonus video where we review Kurt Angle's debut? Because I think, in my opinion, I understand Christian had a great debut in TNA, because in TNA they literally hyped him up as the biggest person to be in the company. He is the biggest, like, he's the end boss, even though Jabber was. But Kurt Angle is so great because he just rises up from the ground and then he walks in. Like, he owns the place and headbutts Joe.
Literally.
We need to at least review his debut.
Not only that, but the way that Joe rises up behind Kurt Angle with a trickle of blood, like an absolute demon, to choke him out. Like, they really should have stretched that feud more.
I think he actually busted him open harder when Joe didn't actually bleed. Apparently, Angle literally headbutted him.
Makes it even better. If anything, yeah, very interesting, very cool. But yeah, we'll have to do that, and we'll talk about Kurt Angle on this show because he's.
For people who don't know, Deadlock brought it up, but that's the debut where Mike Tenay breaks the sound barrier and he just screams, "Olympic Slam! Olympic Slam!" He's absolutely got, like, for people who don't know, Mike Tenay is better than Jim Ross, and we don't give him enough credit. Like, he was in WCW and he was in TNA. Mike Tenay deserves a lot of recognition. And Don West, but Mike Tenay especially.
Yeah, best duo ever. In my opinion, anyway. Vengeance 2005. So, a tight little 6 matches on this show. Very nice. We kick off with the Intercontinental Championship on the line. Carlito defends against Shelton Benjamin. As I mentioned earlier, Carlito beat Benjamin on the Raw before. And Benjamin's someone who kind of had a stop-start push, really. Beat Triple H in his first match on Raw. Big hype, got injured, came back. Wasn't really, and we talked about it a little bit on the Raw episode 2 weeks ago, where Shelton wasn't even on the show after beating Ric Flair. So there's that. And now he's still a face, but there's just, I don't know, it's downhill from here for Benjamin, unfortunately. But this is, on paper, a decent matchup. So it's basically your standard heel versus face opener. Carlito obviously trying to do the cocky, walking away, trying to cheat with cheap shots, and then Shelton showing a lot of athleticism and fire. Shelton as well is coming off of a big match against Shawn Michaels like a month before this, the one with the famous super kick, and he does get a 2 on a flying clothesline. Carlito does slow it down with some rest holds, and then Shelton comes back into it. But it's kind of, I don't know, I would say it's a bit apathetic for Shelton. What do you think? The reaction?
It's so weird because everyone says Shelton Benjamin should have been a bigger star. And I know I might be one of the only people, but he had it, but I don't know if he could carry the company, if that makes sense.
No, I know what you mean, yeah, but I think he could have gotten way more than he had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I understand people are going to go, well, Cody can't carry the company. No, but you have to build it up, and no offence to Shelton, no matter how hard they try and build his rods, you're not going to break through that glass ceiling.
No, but at the very least, more world title opportunities. Like, I think a run against Cena on pay-per-view would have been interesting, at least, You could have built him up. You didn't have to win.
Yeah. Like, if he had the Kofi Kingston movement, maybe I could see him. But it's just WWE don't like treating things that they didn't get over very well.
Yeah, no, that's true. But yeah, a bit of a mixed reaction, to be honest. Carlito seems over though. Tries to get rid of the turnbuckle and then gets kicked in the face. Very nice. Shelton goes for the big splash in the corner, but then face first into the exposed turnbuckle, and then Carlito pins him. Again, a cheap win for Carlito, but still quite a interesting match. It was fairly short. Well, not short. It was about 10 minutes, I would say. But still a fun little opener. Shelton still, I think he looks decent in this one, even if, the future would say otherwise. But Carlito, newest heel on Raw, I think it does well for him. What did you think of this opener?
It was a good opener.
Yeah, in terms of their chemistry and as an opener, did you think it worked on this show?
It did work. I would agree with that.
Yeah, but as for Carlito, what do you think of Carlito? I don't think we've really talked about him before.
I think I don't know how to describe Carlito, because he is good, but I do like him. It's just I wouldn't really like if you're going who's your favourite mid-carder, I'm not going Carlito. Going with your Chris Benoit, your Shelton Benjamin, your Charlie Hosses. Carlito's down the bottom of the line. Like, he's at the end of the road.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
He's not at the
He's
top.
he's someone who, as a kid, I was like, he was one of my favourites. When he was a face, at least, like 2006, 2007 early time, and he definitely had an attitude on him. I think that's probably what kept him from being even more, getting pushed more, because, yeah, there are a lot of guys on the mid-card that never went beyond that in this era, which is kind of strange. I mean, they did, to be fair to him, they pushed a couple of people into the main event scene, like Edge, RVD somewhat and more, but yeah, a lot of these guys like Shelton and Carlito never really broke through, which is a shame, but not everyone can break through, I suppose. Next up, got a women's division matchup. It's Victoria and Christy Hemme. Christy Hemme, one of the highest paid women, or even just performers in general, in TNA history for some reason. This is around the time they were just signing anyone they could. They even got the heartthrobs that you mentioned earlier, I think, and put them with Christy in TNA, but that's another story. So yeah, we get a little video package here. So Victoria's just turned heel in a bikini contest when she hit that Widow's Peak, I think she calls it, and crushes that is one of the most brutal looking moves, I think. And that could be one that I think that's one that took Beth Phoenix out of action for a long time.
Oh.
Because I think Beth Phoenix debuted actually in 2006, and then she took a Widow's Peak from Victoria, I think it was, jammed her neck up bad, and she was out for a whole year. So quite a devastating move. And I remember that move as well being in the Raw intro for a while. So Victoria comes out. She's a heel now, even though she's been face pretty much the entire year, as we saw in the last episode. Christy Hemme, winner of the Diva Search, never really was the greatest technical wrestler in the world, but I don't know. She still had at least a bit of stage presence, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's not really a lot to say about this one, is there? It's short, it's like 5 minutes long. Victoria holds the ropes. Why she needed to cheat to beat Christy Hemme, even because she's just a heel, you know what I mean? She's a heel, a fresh heel, I should say, and surely you should destroy Christy Hemme, like, to really get her over as a baddie. But it wasn't a terrible match. It just wasn't great, was it?
No, it was an all right match.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like, what are your thoughts on both of them?
I don't like Christy Hemme, and I don't mind is with Victoria. Yeah. So I wasn't paying attention in this match. I was falling asleep.
Already? You're only one match in.
I know, I started this show at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I was like,
fair enough. Well, at least it was short, to the point. Now we're getting on to the good stuff. And that's also a good thing about this pay-per-view in particular. 6 matches, perfect length for a pay-per-view. I know a lot of shows around this time tried to stretch out these brand exclusives to like 8 matches, a lot of them with like lower card guys, and it was just, it wasn't working. But I'm really glad that this one was to the point and had, the cream of the crop, so to speak, moving forward. I mean, not this next match, but, we'll get to that in a moment. John Cena is being goofy to Todd Grisham. Oh, he's beginning. It's starting now. John Cena's it's beginning, isn't it? The Cena sucks. The Cena hate is creeping in now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, I understand the hate, but he was just forced, wasn't he? Vince was like, say it back, gotta be.
Oh yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think the fans completely turned on it at this pay-per-view, and maybe a little bit.
They turn on him when he fights Shawn, I think. They turn on him in 2007.
Oh, they turned on him in
2006.
2005 even, against Chris Jericho at SummerSlam. That's when it's really first starting to, like, that was like I think the most obvious one. Here, there were still people into Jericho and Christian as well, but you could definitely tell that it was beginning here. That kind of forced humour, I guess you could call it. Speaking of humour, Lita is the bad guy now because she doesn't want to marry Kane. She doesn't want to be with Kane. She wants to be with Edge. Apparently, you're more of a heel if you have an affair than if you assault and impregnate someone. So, whoop-de-doo.
You forgot something.
Oh, yeah?
Todd Grisham pissed himself when he was in science class. You forgot to mention that.
Oh yeah, that's a key bit of information. I bet Vince was happy with that line. John Cena bullying this little geek.
Pal, it'll be hilarious if you just say the line back. Pissed yourself.
I don't know
why my Vince is just raspy old man.
Oh, he's back now. You can have a lot of fun with this accent, this impression even. Yeah. So.
His mustache.
Oh yeah, the horrible, creepy.
Sorry to sidetrack one more, but because this podcast coming out in a few weeks' time, so this will be outdated. But have you seen that they've Benoit, Stephanie McMahon?
Have they?
Logan Paul re-signed his contract, and they photoshopped. I'll just show you this. I don't know if that's the two. There's two photographs, right? So look at the blue one, and then look at the yellow one. They photoshopped Stephanie McMahon out of it.
That is very funny. Why? Why though? This is weird.
I don't know. They just Benoit. Also, I forgot to mention this draft offer. This is the one where people always use it when they go Chris Benoit returning. You know them edit videos.
Yeah.
This is the year. This is the draft year that Benoit video starts. And for people who are confused, basically Teddy Long on a SmackDown goes, JBL, your opponent is that is him coming out on that SmackDown is used in every clip that's like Benoit confronts Roman Reigns. Benoit's the new GM. Benoit fights CM Punk. Like that's the
Benoit returns to beat up Cody Rhodes.
Basically.
Yeah. Though I know I'm aware of that. This also we can talk about Kane and Edge in a moment, but we can talk about the kind of draft lottery because that was going around this time. I really like the concept of the draft lottery taking place over the course of a month rather than on one night. I don't know about you.
I feel like it should be like football. But
Yeah.
That's just me. Where the GMs are fighting to draft them. Like, like Sean Stacey, people are fighting like, to draft him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you have Teddy Long, like, player, I'll give you 10 grand if you stay with me. And then Eric Bischoff's like, I'll give you 15 grand, Sean. And then, power struggle. I wish it was like football like that with the draft lottery. Then you get where they shake hands. But I understand why they don't do it. But I do love the concept that it takes over a month to take place.
Yeah, I think it also makes that, but it also, in my opinion anyway, it makes that month makes the month of TV more unpredictable, more exciting. For instance, having John Cena on this pay-per-view fighting Christian and Jericho, like you don't know that Christian's going to, well, maybe you do if you read the dirt sheets, but you don't know that Christian's going to go to SmackDown, for instance. So this is like a fresh take on it. And Kurt Angle also being recently drafted to Raw, it sets that up. And then, of course, Batista still being on Raw, but then having a couple of crossover appearances going up against Angle and the like. I still think that's, it opens up possibilities for just this 1 month. And I like it.
The only thing I don't like is how they shafted SmackDown. Because literally SmackDown, at the time this pay-per-view takes place, SmackDown has no world champion. It's literally just Raw has world champion, and SmackDown is just left there like, well, we have Deuce, we have Domino, we have JBL.
They wish they had Deuce and Domino at this time. Nah, they were stuck with the Blue World Order, I think. Blue World Order and JBL and who else?
We have we also have what was his name? Orlando Jordan.
Jordan, Simon Dean.
Been Simon Dean. Also, I love that. Like, side note, Orlando Jordan. I absolutely love that he was Warrior's last opponent. Like, Warrior for years, and like, the gays are going to hell. They're going to hell, gays. And then his last opponent was with Kane.
A big gay.
Like, I don't laugh at because I understand what Warrior said was horrible, but I absolutely love that he was like, queering does not make the world go around, and he's like, Orlando Jordan, you're my last opponent.
I don't know even if he knew that would be his last opponent, but it's certainly poetic irony, and hey, what he deserves. If only Orlando Jordan went over in that match. It's just my wish in hindsight, but it is what it is.
Also, because I don't know if we'll get to talk about it, but a year prior they wanted to bring New Jack in to SmackDown
to stab John Cena, yeah.
Oh no! Imagine New Jack in WWE. Oh no!
That would be.
He wouldn't have confined to the rules, wouldn't he? No, he would have literally got fired on his first day.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Especially, it's still a bit of a Wild West situation backstage in WWE in terms of like drugs and stuff. But yeah, even WWE is a bit ultra sanitized. It is even a little bit sanitized at this point. But that's one of the biggest what ifs where I'd be like, dude, just imagine having yeah, that'd be incredible. Having Cena and New Jack.
Rocking up.
Yeah.
Imagine New Jack. Oh no, because I won't get to talk about it again. But New Jack at this time was with obviously they're on Fox at this point. But New Jack was in TNA in like 02 and 03, and he was teaming with Shark Boy. And there's this brilliant moment where Shark Boy gives him gloves, and New Jack's like, "What the hell is this?" And he puts on these not Hulk Hogan, the Green Monster Hulk. He puts on them gloves and he just starts whacking his opponent with it.
The early TNA was speaking of weird time periods in wrestling. Early TNA was something different. Early TNA was built different, especially with them Hulk hands he had. Yeah. Damn, we missed out on New Jack in WWE. It's a shame, but oh well.
He would have again. He would have I would have loved to seen him in a Hell in a Cell match, because I would love to have seen New Jack on top of the cell with his opponent, because you'd be sitting there like, is New Jack going to go off script and throw him off the Hell in a Cell? Is he going to go off script?
Yeah, you want to know, like, imagine him throw up the X and then jump off the cell, or, you know, any of that would have been great, but...
Imagine he missed the table and he just went through the crowd.
That would be that would be an ECW type. That would be a New Jack thing to do, like to completely overshoot it.
Or Terry Funk in Hell in a Cell would have been great.
I mean, technically he was in Hell in a Cell. He ran to Mick Foley.
Yeah, he got a chalk stand out of his shoes.
Yeah. So, and his little I don't know what to call it. Yeah, you know when you go out for a pack of smokes at 7 a.m. in your sweaty joggers. Like that kind of fella. He was looking like in that match. Anyway. Kane and Edge up next. The Matt Hardy situation. I guess we can talk about the Matt Hardy situation. What's your opinion on it?
I love at this time where WWE were like, Matt Hardy, how dare you, can I swear?
Yeah, go on.
They were like, how fucking dare you? How fucking dare you speak out against your girlfriend cheating on you? How fucking dare you? Fire that man. But Edge literally shagged my girlfriend behind me. How fucking dare you? Don't you dare speak out about WWE. Don't you even try, you little bitch. And then Edge is like, yes, we won him over. And then all the fans were like, Matt Hardy. And WWE were like, oh, damn it, we have to bring him back.
Is this one of them situations where they weren't ever going to plan? They weren't really planning on bringing Matt Hardy back, but it's one of them that they point to and go like, "Oh no, this was the plan all along," like the Daniel Bryan thing. Like, are they going to pat themselves on the back and say, "Oh yeah, we had the foresight to make this thing into an angle," even though they really didn't want Matt Hardy coming back?
Is this also the year where Jeff Hardy shows up in ROH and he gets absolutely booed? Or is that a prior year? Is that the year before?
I think Matt Hardy shows up in ROH this time and gets absolutely booed as well. But I think the Jeff Hardy thing happened in 03.
Oh, did it? All right. Because I absolutely love that moment where he shows up in ROH and all the fans are like, boo, you suck. Oh, where's Matt?
Poor Hardys. Oh, but yeah. Matt Hardy speaking out about his missus cheating on him with his mate is... and then getting fired, that's like a kick him while you're down type situation there. Especially, and being injured as well, that's rough.
But how I look at it, if he went to TNA, he would have and teamed with Jeff Hardy, if Jeff Hardy stayed clean, because of course he missed a show in 2005 and 6. But if the Hardy Boys were in TNA with the X Division tag team, it would have been one of the greatest times for tag team wrestling in the early 2000s. The Hardys versus America's Most Wanted versus Styles and Daniels.
This might be a controversial opinion, but, well, maybe not. But I think that it's better that Jeff Hardy had that singles run because it made people more.
Love him.
Yeah, I would say so. Like as an individual wrestler, because in WWE they probably saw them as a pair, you know. Whereas I think that Jeff Hardy having his own run in TNA gave him that kind of like underdog, kind of risk taker personality and make that his thing. And I think the same thing could have happened with Matt Hardy had he in WWE, had they actually followed through on pushing him and not just fed him to Edge later on, you know.
Also, this is the year where Matt Hardy does a Hulk Hogan. For people who don't know, I don't know if this is true. I don't know if Matt Hardy has confirmed or denied it. But apparently this is the year, I remember at Survivor Series 05, where Randy Orton celebrated with the SmackDown roster, and Undertaker comes out with the casket.
Oh my god, because he rolls out, doesn't he? He's like, I'm not taking the chokeslam.
Yeah, he does a Hulk Hogan.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
I absolutely loved Matt Hardy when he did that. He was like, nope.
No, he didn't. And that was Wrestler's Court. Yeah, that's peak like Undertaker toxicity, I guess. Maybe that did him in as well.
Oh, I love 05 Taker. It's such a great time for him.
Oh man, what a horrible work! Like 2005 SmackDown locker room would be the worst place to work.
Yeah, because you have all the bullies there.
They're just all like, and like particularly after Eddie died and how probably sad and depressing it must have been backstage.
See, what I find depressing, and I'm not here defending Benoit, but if you look at the Vice documentary, literally Benoit had to cry over his friend and then be like, well, I'm going to Japan to wrestle a match for WWE, and like, mate, your friend just died. No one would ever do that. Like, if I died, you wouldn't be like, well, time to do another Pigs and Fergs podcast.
You dying would be the motivation I need to start NLW again.
It's what he would have wanted, brother.
It's what you would have wanted, and I'll bury Pacitti just as a final fuck you.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, and exactly. It's just a weird kind of mentality. Drove him insane, like, yeah.
Also, I don't like, because this is the time where WWE were literally not giving talents days off, so all the talents were taking drugs, and it was just not a good time.
We'll talk about Hardcore Holly next week, actually, because I did some initiative, and I've actually watched a bit of the show we're watching next week too. Yeah, Hardcore Holly was one, but we'll talk about that next week. He was someone who, if you read his book, he was supposed to have time off, but they told him to keep coming into work because it's not that serious, and he could have died from his staph infection that he had in his elbow. So he's someone else. Like, it's such a horrible piece of shit time.
Earlier in this year, this is where the infamous moment takes place where Nathan Pewter, whatever his name
Daniel
was.
Pewter, yeah.
Daniel Pewter. Where Daniel Pewter a year prior legitimately ankle locked Kurt Angle and nearly broke his ankle. And Vince meant we're sending you out to the Rumble. And Daniel was like, all right, no problem. And then Benoit, Guerrero, and I understand people say Guerrero wasn't a bully, but Benoit and Holly and somewhat Guerrero beat the ever-living piss out of him. Like, that is probably, in my opinion, one of the hardest moments to watch in a Rumble. Because like, they're not going soft on him. They're literally shooting on him.
It's not like a consensual beatdown of, you know, it's not like your Gunther, Sheamus, McIntyre type. It's just one man being beaten up.
By two bullies and Guerrero. For people who don't know, Benoit was supposed to be a bully in real life. Well, not a bully.
For those of you who don't know, Chris Benoit wasn't as nice as we thought he was.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean? Apparently he was, I understand he's a murderer, but apparently he was also a bit of a bully. He was afraid he was going to lose his spot.
Yeah.
I think that's what drove him insane, like.
Yeah.
Losing his spot. All these young guys coming in. I have to go to ECW. I guess my family have to die. I'm going to ECW. See you now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, fuck.
Like, people go, I didn't want to work Tuesdays. What did you do? I told the boss. What did Benoit do? Moving on.
Move on, yeah. And this is a horrible storyline as well. Kane is the good guy. Kane is the face. Why?
This is some EastEnders type stuff. Okay.
Like, suddenly Gene
How
Snitsky
dare
causes Lita to lose her baby, and then now, again you need to put this on Watching Walford, this whole saga, because this Kane's the face now because Lita betrayed Kane and is now with Edge, but Kane is like a proxy for Matt Hardy. It's so weird.
There's nothing much to say about this match because there is literally all that really happens is Snitsky runs in and Kane somehow fights him off, and then Edge comes back, and then
again, Snitsky has been feuding with Kane since November, and it's June. They are still hanging about each other.
Yeah, it's so weird. I love how they took a break between WrestleMania and all. Like Kane was in the ladder match for WrestleMania, and then they were like, well, time to go back to Snitsky.
When was Snitsky licking feet? When was that? That was like a year after this, wasn't it?
I think this might have been 2005 or 6. It was when Edge was WWE champion. I know that much.
Yeah. So, yeah, Snitsky's eating toesies and gets... Edge hits Snitsky with a briefcase. So yeah, it's Kane versus Edge. Lita's in Edge's corner because she's turned heel on Kane, the person who kidnapped her and impregnated her. A great angle there. And now, basically, the heat is on Lita for this entire match because everyone's chanting, "We want Matt," and she's crack whore, and the like. And so Edge, it's not really a lot going on here. On paper, it looks better, but again, it's more about Matt Hardy and the absence of Matt Hardy. This match is more about the people who aren't there than the people who are there. And so like you said, Snitsky runs out, and Lita tries to flirt with Kane, and chokes out Lita. Woo, you should do. And my God, absolutely tries to smack. Wait, does she? He puts the chair around her neck, doesn't he? And then I just watched this today as of the recording, and I still can't tell you what happened in this match. I can't believe. I think it was part of me that kind of tuned out, and I was like, "There's no way what's happening is happening in front of me because he's the face, isn't he?" And then so Edge hits Snitsky with the briefcase, and then gets chokeslammed, and Kane wins, and weird to have Kane go over, considering Edge is like he's supposed to be a big new heel. And didn't like this match. What about you?
I did not like this. If people want a comparison, it's not as bad as when John Moxley jobbed out CM Punk, but it's in the same vein because CM Punk's the up and come. He's your champion, and then you're building a company around him. Then John Moxley squashes him. It's the same kind of thing here, where Kane squashes the guy they're building the company around. Well, they built the company around him for like a month, and then went, well, Babadoo, he's back, so lose.
Yeah. I get a weird time for Edge, because Edge as well doing way more in the first half of the year, later last year as well, and now they felt they probably had to put Lita with Edge, but really don't do a lot with him until the Matt Hardy feud, really, and even after that, it's like it goes a bit slow, but yeah, a bit of a shame. Anyway. Thank God we've got these 3 matches to come. 3 of the best matches you could have to follow up that garbage. First of all, WrestleMania 21 rematch. Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle. What did you think? Do you remember their WrestleMania 21 match?
I watched WrestleMania 21 like 2 years ago, eating a bar of chocolate. It was a Dairy Milk. Fat detail. I loved it. I loved it. There's only 2 matches I love from WrestleMania 21. Maybe 3. It's Shawn, Kurt, the Money in the Bank match, and Taker, Randy.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Michaels and Angle, one of my favourite matches, one of my favourite Mania matches ever. Just the way they went at it, and it was back and forth, and my goodness, could have watched these 2 wrestle over and over and over again. The fact it took that long for Michaels and Kurt Angle to wrestle each other is crazy in itself. But there you go. Thankfully, it did happen. But yeah, the Mania 21 match was great. And this one, with Kurt Angle coming to Raw in the draft, it meant that they were now on the same brand. So it's cool that we get this basically immediately on pay-per-view. And now... Yeah.
Can I just say, it's weird how WWE booked Kurt Angle compared to TNA. Because in WWE, they're like, he's the Olympic gold medalist. He's Kurt Angle. And then in TNA, they're like, this guy will absolutely fuck you up. Do not mess with him. Like, the comparisons is so weird. Because they're literally TNA is like, do not mess with this guy. This guy will end your family. He'll end your bloodline. Do not mess with him. He will literally kill you. And then WWE were like, well, he's just an Olympic gold medalist. Nothing to brag about. Yeah, laugh at him. He's bald.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a contrast there. Considering as well, we're getting close to Perk Angle, so he's doing some crazy stuff. He's not quite there yet. I don't want to make light of someone's drug problem, by the way, but I'm just saying his performances have stepped up to an insane level at this point.
If he was on the Parks at this point, Shawn would have definitely lost.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But
like no one can defeat Perk Angle.
No, unstoppable man, monster machine, wrestling machine. So they're doing like a feeling out process here, and I think there are a couple of subtle callbacks to WrestleMania. They go onto the outside, and then German on the announce table, boom. And then just from the floor onto the announce table, wipes out Michaels. Then Shawn's got a little bit of a cut under his eye and Angle takes control. Angle hits a buckle bomb for 2, wears him down, a couple of suplexes as well. Shawn Michaels does make the comeback as well, and Shawn Michaels, probably one of the best comebacks in wrestling history, with a flying forearm and kip up. Hits the elbow, Angle... still in it though. Kurt stops switching music, and then a massive clothesline. Suplex countered into a German, and then an Angle slam. The way that Shawn Michaels takes the Angle slam as well is fantastic. It looks like he just stiffens up. And we get a counter to the ankle lock, ref bump. The medics come in and check on the ref, and that's when the ankle lock is locked in. And Shawn keeps trying to kick him away. I love the struggle that Shawn is going through for this. Counters it, walk into a sweet chin music, tries to cover, but Angle kicks out. Angle on the top, leaps into a sweet chin music again, and then that's when Shawn Michaels gets the win. Oh my god, I love this match. It's not as good as the WrestleMania 21 match. Don't get me wrong. The flying, it was... it's still great, a build up, and there was a lot of drama in this one, and Shawn getting his win back here, setting up for a sequel, was great. Overall, not as good as a WrestleMania 21 match, don't get me wrong, but still a really good match. What did you think?
I just want to mention quickly, do you prefer Shawn Michaels in the baggy pants or tights?
Ooh, baggy pants, Shawn, yeah.
Oh, I love brown pants, Shawn. Nothing, Shawn Michaels' 2 best attires are brown pants and when he's in Saudi Arabia. Nothing can come close. I love shocker mom hair Shawn, and I love bald Shawn.
You got good taste. But yeah, in terms of this overall match, what did you think of it? What did you think of their performances here?
I loved this match. Not as good as the Hell in a Cell match, because I'm a sucker for Hell in a Cell, especially when there's blood involved, but we get to that later on. I loved this. There was a lot of callbacks. I loved Kurt Angle in this match because he's not quite... I don't like making light of someone's drug issue, but the meme, of course, I understand he hates it, but he's not quite there yet. He's not quite on the Percocets yet, which I don't want to say good on you, but he's still pretty good in this match. Let's give it to him.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's the coldest take you're going to hear all week is Kurt Angle was really, really good. And can do it all, especially in this match. Great match, loved it. Yeah.
You know, Kurt, people It's a shame he never had a 5-star classic, because he had a lot of 5-star matches. People don't give Kurt Angle the credit they should. Yes, he was a world champion, but Kurt Angle is the best to do it. In his prime, he could probably out-wrestle Bret, even fake wrestling. Like, real and fake, he could out-wrestle Bret. He out-wrestled Benoit, who was pretty much hard to out-wrestle, because Benoit was literally like, no, mate, you're not going to out-wrestle me. And Angle was like, mate, I can out-wrestle you. He out-wrestled Lesnar. He would have out-wrestled Bryan had TNA stopped being stubborn in 2006 and actually when you can go to ROH. He would have out-wrestled
Bryan. Oh my God,
Bryan.
what were they thinking? TNA ruined wrestling, but they both made wrestling fantastic and also ruined wrestling at the same time.
I wish then in 2006 they allowed Angle to go to ROH and just show up and batter Bryan. Well, I would be as violent as Gunter versus Sheamus, but like them two would have just ripped each other to shreds, because you would have had Kirk Angle and then prime Bryan Danielson. I'm not saying he's not in his prime now, but Bryan when he was in his absolute prime.
Yeah, to be fair, Bryan's been in his prime his entire career. Like, it's insane, really. And I guess you could.
His prime was when he was teaming with Curryman in Japan.
Oh yeah, sorry, my mistake. Yeah, Kurt Angle as well though. Great wrestler. Shame we didn't get that match.
People don't give him credit. You have to give Angle credit. Angle could do everything. He could do comedy. He could do wrestling. He could do promos. Like, if right, this might be a weird example, but if you gave that bestiality promo to anyone else, they would have failed. But Angle somehow delivered it. Also, have you ever seen the Angle promo where he's talking to Todd Grisham and he's like, I'm not a fan, and then it does the quotation marks of the black people. He says it with a straight face without breaking.
And if I could go back in time, the one person I would make tap out would be Jesus Christ. It's a great promo.
Yeah.
It wouldn't fly today.
No.
Barely flew back then, but it's so funny. In the context, basically, he's saying that because he's getting really over as a face, and I think it's in his hometown here too. So he's like, the point he's trying to make is, I can say whatever I want, and these idiots will still cheer me because I'm that damn good. And it's like a tongue in cheek, trying to get as much heat as possible, but still being cheered.
It's just how he says it, though. I'm not a fan
of the black people.
It's just how
do not quote me out of context on that one, please.
It will be quoted out of context.
Cut
you
it.
Will be cancelled.
I've self-cancelled. I've self-cancelled already. Anyway, it's fine.
I don't know why it bothers me every time when he says it, but yeah. Do you prefer Kurt when he has the boots on or when he has the shoes on? There's the real question. The boots or the shoes?
The shoes feel more of like a wild card factor. I can't explain why.
So you prefer boots Angle?
Yeah. I don't know. I do like the shoes. I think the shoes are it just makes me think of him doing wacky stuff.
The only time I did not like Kurt Angle was when he got super skinny, because he looked like a corn on the cob. Like, he looked literally like a corn.
It's also because he's going through you can tell he's going through like personal problems.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, yeah. But I'm just happy that Angle's doing all right now. Like, I met him a couple of years ago, but I have terrible social skills, so I couldn't convey how awesome he was. So I just kind of went, thank you, and yeah,
cried.
Yeah, basically, I was just like, internally just trying not to mark out and trying to keep my cool, but inside I was like, oh man, if I could go back and do it again, I would definitely I would be. Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't know if you will be attending, but if AEW have a star cast, I'm definitely going to that, because there's only one person I want to meet in this business so far. Sting.
Sting.
I loved in each thing. I
Oh
loved it.
my god, that would be great. Fuck. Whatever. I'm gonna try. I'll try my best. Doesn't matter if I'm like staying up overnight. If I can't get a hotel beforehand, like I'm definitely gonna go and meet. Yeah, I think that'd be amazing. See what happens though. But yeah, that's an exciting prospect.
There will be a review for all in it, bruv. So you will be seeing that in September. Unless Ferg last minute goes, well, sorry, pig, we're not going. Then I'll be like that little child who wanted to go to Disneyland, and then his parents turned the car around and went, we're going to Las Vegas. And you're like, oh,
no.
But Disneyland.
No, I'm telling you now, I really want to, but I don't want to jinx it. So I've got my hotel ready, so we'll see.
I'm saying this on the podcast, so it lasts forever. My dad has been. He's literally got, when I'm going, where I have to go. He's got places I can see. He has my plane tickets nearly booked. Like everything is nearly booked. Like he's essentially wrote a list of places to visit, and I'm like, it's only April. I'm not seeing for till August.
Yeah, it'll be a wild time though. Speaking of wild time, yeah. Speaking of wild time, got Couch in the ring. Liam Garcia's out here, and then Viscera's here too. No. Do you want to skip it?
Yeah, this is nothing to talk about. This, she just confesses her love to Viscera. Viscera is about to say, I love you, and then Godfather comes out. Godfather is like, you should be part of the whole train. And then he thinks about it, he agrees. He looks at all the hoes, blah, blah, blah. Lillian Garcia cries like a little bitch. And then we move on. Yeah, so there you go.
So we'll move past horny Viscera then, but there you go. That's all you need to know. Nice to see the Godfather, I guess. WWE Championship on the line. This is why we're watching this show. It's because Christian is in a pay-per-view, not a main event, but he's in a world title match for the first time in his career, I want to say, and he is one of the challengers alongside Chris Jericho, who is still a face here. Christian's the heel, and he's still with Tomko. And they're challenging John Cena. So John Cena just drafted to Raw. A brief period of about a month, or like 3 weeks, where both world titles were on the same brand. So they were making sure that they could get them both on this Raw exclusive pay-per-view. Very good. Cena, he is not quite cringe yet. I mean, he's getting there though, trust me. And Christian is been bad-mouthing him the entire time in the build-up. And Christian in 2005. Oh my god. We finally get it. We finally get the theme song.
Yeah. I could almost cry.
I know. The Waterproof Blonde theme song for Christian, other than the Evanescence one, like easily the best theme song he ever had.
I think now, because this is a controversial debate, but the theme that Christian Cage currently uses at the time of this recording, because when this comes out, he could be back into WWE. We don't know. But when my favorite Christian theme is the first version of My Last Breath, because the first version is literally just My Last Breath, but not. And then the lady from Evanescence went, "Oi, you dickhead, stop using my music." And then Dale Oliver went, "Oh, how am I going to do this? Well, we're going to redo it, but I'm going to make it less My Last Breath." That's the current version he uses. It's still close to My Last Breath, but it's a bit different.
My penultimate breath.
Yeah. My first breath.
Yeah.
My second breath.
One of many breaths. Breathing. The fact they got away with it though is insane. But this was my favourite Christian theme ever.
Yeah.
The way it hits. That's why Christian as the world heavyweight champion, just tell Christian, you can beat Batista. Yeah, he would have went with it. Oh man, even if you put the title back on Batista, no. But he went to TNA, he did some great work. Fair enough, but on the stage of WWE, come on. We get to talk about it in the TNA review, but there's a promo he does with Monty Brown, and he's like, "What's the capital of Thailand?"
Bangkok.
Smacks him in the dick.
In the bollocks.
Yeah.
There's also a Monty Brown promo that I want to talk about because we won't really get a chance in DNA. So I think it's the episode after Christian debuts in TNA. Like after I forget what pay-per-view it was. He comes out and he's wearing these big black pants, and these Bob the Builder boots, as Monty Brown calls it. And he's wearing this brown T-shirt over a black sleeve jumper, and Monty Brown goes, "You look like Bob the Builder."
Oh, his fashion sense was awful in TNA. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't. What are you on about? He was a fashion icon.
Okay, well, here he comes out with the. Also, I love the big C jacket that he had.
He is the reason why they didn't get his designs right in SVR 06.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a shit. There's so many missed opportunities with this guy. Crazy. Anyway. You know what? I'll appreciate the fact that we at least got it once, him challenging for the spinner belt. So Jericho and Christian are basically working together to beat up Cena. And then Jericho basically bops Christian and then gets pulled outside by Tomko. He does. El Hebner is still here, funny enough. He's soon to be let go for selling dodgy merch outside WWE.
Outside his car.
Yeah, in his car, like a carny.
You know, like the car boot sales we have over here, because I don't really know if it's an American thing.
Yeah.
Because Americans have flea markets. He was literally doing a car boot sale for bootleg merch.
Yeah,
he was
nicking merchandise, selling it, or I can't remember quite what the story was, but the fact that he'd been there for so long and he was doing that was wild. But yeah. So Christian blocks the FU. Cena throws him out. Jericho tries a suplex to Cena on the announce table, but then a DDT on the floor instead. And that's when Christian gets in and takes some offense from Cena. Jericho throws Cena into the steps, rolled up by Christian. They're all inside, and then Cena with both 5-knuckle shuffles, 10-knuckle shuffle, I guess. And it took me a while. It took me years, in fact. I didn't know it was a wanking reference.
It took you years to find that out, did it?
Yeah, I'm too naive. I'm sorry. As a kid, I was just like, yeah, 5-knuckle shuffle. And the fact he still does it as well for the kids is a bit wild. But yeah.
A bit weird.
Very weird. Tomko then comes back, lays out Cena. Christian gets a near fall, and then that's when Cena's put in the walls. And it ends when Cena. Christian. Oh, what happens at the end of this match? I can't remember.
I literally watched this an hour ago. I'm trying to remember. I believe Cena just AA's Christian and Jericho.
Yeah, because he's in the walls. I know Cena's in the walls of Jericho, and that's when that's when Jericho gets off of it and drop kicks Christian, and then tries to get the walls in. Christian breaks it up, and that's when he's in the FU. Knocks Jericho. Then Cena retains. But I like this match quite a lot. It wasn't a classic or anything, but I think the fact that all three guys were talented in their own right and it was a good combination to have, especially this time, 6 months down the line, Jericho and Christian are gone, so it's just good to see them in a prominent place here against Cena. What did you think about this one? I think it was as a triple threat, it was good as well. What did you think?
Sorry, no. What do you think of Christian's tights?
I like them. Although, was this the one? I didn't notice it, but was this the one with the big nappy back?
Might have been.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to Google it because I wasn't really paying attention to his ass in this one. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, Christian. I know his tights. He's got quite a big ass in some of them. if that's okay to say, a big bottom. But yeah, I liked his tights here.
One thing I love is I love Jericho's hair. I love Soccer Mom hair.
Yes, and Soccer Mom Jericho hair as well is also one of the looks that I like quite a bit from this era. Main event time, Hell in a Cell. World Heavyweight Championship on the line, Batista versus Triple H. So, yeah, the third in the trilogy. This is the best match out of the three. Don't even need to say it. Like, it just is. So they had the match at WrestleMania where Batista beat Triple H for the world title. Then the rematch at Backlash where Batista won again. And now finally, Hell in a Cell, Batista versus Triple H. The last, I think, outing for Batista as heavyweight champion on Raw is this one as well. So it kind of caps off a nice little angle there. And we talked about Randy Orton last week being the loser to Triple H, and how he was kind of sacrificed with Batista, and how far Batista has come since we did Unforgiven last week, and now here at Vengeance, and it's like night and day, isn't it?
It is. Like, Batista he seems like a lovely gentleman. People hate Batista for some reason. I did when I was a kid, even though I did love him as a kid as well. Batista just seems like a nice man. Like, there's not many wrestlers that you want to Tony Khan them, where you want to give them a big hug and be like, everything's okay, and tap them on the bald head and be like, everything's going to be okay. But Batista's someone who I'd literally would Tony Khan and just give him a big hug and cry and be like, you're my hero. Like, I would literally Tony Khan him.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Batista, big lovely man, would give him a big hug, and I feel very badly for how he was treated in 2014, and I feel bad that he was the scapegoat for WWE's bad booking at the time, because it wasn't his fault. In fact, he wanted to be heel at that time as well, and I think if they'd leaned more into that earlier on, it could have been fantastic, but, you know, it's what it is. They won't get that back.
Also, side note, fuck you UFC fans who defend the fact that he removed a tattoo of his hero because the hero said something against the LGBT community that Batista did not like because he had a lesbian mom. Fuck you for the people who defend that man.
Oh, wait, did Batista remove a tattoo?
Basically, there was this story. Batista had a tattoo of his hero. I forget who it was. He was a famous either basketball or boxing or UFC. He was some sort of legend in one business. And he had a tattoo of his hero. And the hero came out and he said some nasty things against the LGBTQ community. He was funding anti-LGBTQ community. He was funding them, basically. And Batista went, all right, I'm getting that tattoo removed. So he got the tattoo removed. And then people in the comments were like, yeah, but the guy's right. And you're like, no, Batista's right. But everyone was like, no, the guy is right because it's this religion point of view. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't use that as an scapegoat. So you got one tattoo removed. He's still tattooed out, though. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, though. It's pretty painful to get a tattoo removed anyway, so that's quite a principled thing to do. What?
How do you know?
Well, I've got a tattoo, but I can imagine it's even more painful to get it rid of it, surely.
We should show our tattoos on the screen, because we both have tattoos.
I've got an Ultimate Warrior tattoo on my where, like, it's like a tramp stamp. Don't tell me the Ultimate Warriors said bad things about the LGBT community.
No, he didn't. He said wonderful things.
Oh, thank goodness.
He said queering makes the world go round.
Oh, thank goodness. That's I'm glad about that.
So I just love that quote. I just love that quote that he says. Like, he says it with such a smile on his face. Queering does not make the world go around.
I'm telling you, with the way the world's going, the fact that we've got like overpopulation and that, maybe more people should be queer, but that's just my take.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised with my fashion sense if you came to me now.
Batista and Triple H fighting around the outside. Triple H gets the chain, checking out Batista. They fight out of it when they go outside. Triple H gets battered with some spine busters into the post and then the cage, like bit bat book bat, like a pinball. Triple H goes under the ring and then gets a chair with barbed wire wrapped around it. Oh, damn. I like the look of that. Triple H is already bleeding profusely. He loves to blade in these kind of matches. Batista whacked in the back with the chair in the barbed wire. And the crowd just goes, oh, it's lovely. And then Batista gets Triple H with the chair and then grates it across his face. This is an absolutely brutal match. Power slam onto the barbed wire chair. DDT onto it. Batista's bleeding now. Then we get Sledgehammer. And then Batista Bomb tries to get Batista Bomb, and then counters Batista Bomb, then levels Batista with the Sledgehammer, but then only gets 2 count, And then Batista tries to use the sledgehammer, but runs into the chain. And Batista then gets the sledgehammer. And then when you think that Batista's about to win, you see Triple H hit a low blow and then the pedigree. And then the crowd is thinking, oh, maybe he's going to win. But no, Batista kicks out. Then another tries to go for a pedigree on the steel stairs. Batista with a spinebuster onto them instead. And then Triple H, I think this is one of the best finishes to any match ever. I can't explain why I love it so much, but Triple H picks up the sledgehammer as if he's going to drive Batista in the head, but he doesn't have enough left in the tank, and Batista hits the Batista Bomb, and then snaps it off, and it's beautiful. A pin to Triple H, this bloody war. It looks like a war zone here. It's barbaric, it's brutal, and to cap off this evolution story with this, it's so good. I am in love with this Hell in a Cell match. It is, like, before I watched this, because obviously I'd seen it before, but upon rewatching it, I'd have to say, this might be controversial, it's probably my top 5 Hell in a Cell matches ever. What did you think?
I think this was a great match, and not much to say.
But in terms of, like, your favourite points in this match, like, you know, comparing it to modern Hell in a Cell matches, I guess, what did this match have that you miss from modern Hell in a Cells?
Oh, I love this Hell in a Cell match. My favourite points were Triple H hitting Batista with a sledgehammer, Batista coming out with a barbed wire steel chair, because you don't really see a barbed wire steel chair in WWE. Batista throwing Triple H into the cage, throwing steel stairs at him, throwing into the cage again, Triple H throwing Batista into the cage. I love the ending where he picks up the sledgehammer. I think he's going to hit Batista, and then he doesn't.
It's beautiful. Yeah, absolutely fantastic end to a pretty damn good pay-per-view. I mean, it wasn't as good as I was expecting going in, I'm not going to lie, but the last 3 matches, fantastic. Shawn Michaels and Angle on any other show would have been my favourite match on the card, but that Hell in a Cell, one of my favourites ever. You know, the Viscera segment sucked, and Edge and Kane wasn't great, and neither was the women's match, but, you know, the opener was pretty good too, and the WWE title match as well was nice, and it's good to see Christian in a high-profile thing. So yeah, I would definitely recommend you watching this show, particularly Michaels, Angle, and you know, considering there's only 6 matches on this card, just watch the whole thing. It's really good. What did you think of this, Piggy?
It was a good show. I really loved this show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that because I was like, oh, should we do it? But you had to, really, with Christian Cage being on this one. His last, I know he's been on pay-per-view since that one. Like, I think he had a match at No Mercy and Great American Bash later that year, but not really anything as notable as this show. So, yeah, that's it for this. We've already done the Raw after the show.
So tune in next week. We're doing Lockdown 2008, apparently, because this is the 20th episode, and on my list, the 21st episode is Lockdown 2008.
Yeah, you're right. So it is Lockdown 2008 next. So yeah, because it's April, obviously, we're doing the 2008 shows in between. And I guess we can kind of talk about Christian. So in terms of Christian's involvement on this show, like we usually talk about at the end, what did you think of Christian's involvement here?
I loved it. I think he did everything right. So yeah, like I can't say much because I think he did everything right that he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
He should have won, but it's understandable that they want John Cena.
Oh yeah,
be the top one.
I get it as well, and I think that we can talk about it more, not next week because that's Lockdown, but in 2 weeks' time for when we come back to the Christian stuff, because we've gone past the Captain Charisma stuff, and now we're going to move on to the Instant Classic arc. Kind of area of Christian Cage. So we're doing the last episode, the last match he had in WWE before he left for TNA, his TNA debut, I want to say, and then the night he won the NWA title, I think, as well. But that's for the future. We'll talk about that then. For now, we're going to do Lockdown 2008 next week. Can't wait for Joe and Angle in the cage. It's going to be amazing. Anything left to say, Piggy?
No, not much to say. See you next week for Lockdown, I guess.
Indeed. Well, we'll be in the cage. It's going to be intense. And, yeah, another cage match in a row. Pretty interesting stuff. Do the outro. Say, do your best Triple H impression. Thanking people for watching.
Thank you, being all. That's Vince McMahon. Thank you for watching.
Triple H. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. We will see you next week.
Triple H.
Triple H.
You're watching Pigs and Fergs.
Blah.